Tim. We're doing. I got.
We doing masks on or off? Or?
When you speak, you can take it off.
Okay, awesome.
All rise.
All right. Good to see you. Okay. Good morning, neighbors. My name is Robert Rogers, and I'm a resident of Glen Ridge. I hail from Detroit, Michigan originally, but I've had the privilege to call the Garden State home for over 20 years now, 10 of which have been in Glen Ridge, actually. Like many families, when we're in search of a home, we look for a great community, great schools, and while we're here today, accessibility to great public transportation. We did find that here. We found all three of those things: a great, tight-knit community, safe community, access to great schools, and I know that my family and myself have leveraged both NJ Transit, both the buses and the train lines. I've actually commuted to New York for over a decade now, and continue to this day. As a commuter, I know that no fare hikes and the ability for many families to plan their budgets and expenses is a huge deal. I know that myself. I realize I'm very privileged, but like, candidly, probably the majority of New Jerseyans, being able to plan a budget and know that no fare hikes are coming is a very big deal. To have more engineers, less cancellations, more preventive maintenance is going to go a long way for myself, my neighbors here, and for the rest of the Garden State to commute to New York, to commute west to other parts of the state, as well as be able to view many more cultural activities. Besides that being an important thing, even the idea of climate change and having access to reliable transportation that more of us should be taking, I think is a good effort as well. I want to thank Governor Murphy, Lieutenant Governor Oliver, and their administration, as well as many activists who have been pushing for these improvements and resources at both the state and federal level. It's now my pleasure to introduce our governor, Mr. Phil Murphy, to hear more about his vision for New Jersey.
Thank you, Robert. Really well done. Really impressed, Robert. Bless you, man. I think we could skip the rest of us. You kind of laid the case out here, right? Thank you again, Robert Rogers, for kicking things off today. Thank you for your faith that we're doing to get what we're doing to get NJ Transit right, and thanks for the faith in that. And it is for you and your fellow commuters that we are here this morning at this historic station. Before I acknowledge some of the very special people with us today, I want to repeat unequivocally that we stand with our Ukrainian brothers and sisters in complete solidarity, prayer, and action, and that we will not relent. We have one of the largest Ukrainian populations of any American state. The metro New York City, New Jersey, North Jersey region is the largest concentration of the Ukrainian diaspora in the United States of America, and we will not relent. It is a real pleasure, on that sober note, it is a real pleasure to start this week in Essex County and in Glen Ridge. So to County Executive Joe DiVincenzo, Joe, thank you for everything that you do. To Mayor Stuart Patrick, thank you for your warm welcome this morning and for my Rockin' Glen Ridge tie, so thank you for that. Deep thanks to you and Council President Debbie Manns and the rest of the team here. Also incredibly honored to be joined by my partner in government, the singular one and only Lieutenant Governor Sheila Y. Oliver. To her left, the outstanding President and CEO of NJ Transit, Kevin Corbett. Just behind him, watching Kevin's back, the chairman of Smart TD Local 60, great labor leader Jerome Johnson, and of course we heard from Robert already. Essex County Commissioner Brendan Gill in the front seat. Great to be with you all. So one of the things that all of us know, and folks across our teams take great pride in is the steady progress we've made in modernizing NJ Transit and restoring its reputation for service. I know that we are proud that in January, NJ Transit Rail compiled a 93% on-time rating with every single one of its 8 lines exceeding 90% performance. Additionally, NJ Transit buses ran 95.5% on time. These numbers are even more impressive when the devastating impact on the NJ Transit workforce and family by the Omicron tsunami is taken into consideration. Remember, January was the height and peak of that. And I know that we're all equally proud that for the past 4 years, we've moved forward in this mission without making commuters shoulder any fare hikes. Well, let's just go ahead right now and make that 5 years in a row. I'm proud to tell the more than 1,400 daily NJ Transit rail riders here in Glen Ridge and the hundreds of thousands of daily rail, bus, light rail, and access link riders across New Jersey that they will not see a fare hike again in 2022 and at least through the first half of 2023. That's 5 years in a row. Holding the line on fares is part of the stronger, fairer, and more affordable New Jersey we're all building today. Additionally, I'm proud to announce that the state budget I will present 1 week from tomorrow will also support the installation of Wi-Fi connectivity on all NJ Transit buses. So not only are we keeping your bus ride affordable and keeping it on time and dependable, but we're also making it more productive. We can make these announcements because the budget will continue to provide the key investments in NJ Transit necessary for supporting Kevin's and his team's core mission of making this a national model for running a mass transit agency. It wasn't the fault of NJ Transit's riders that this agency had fallen so far across the years prior to our administration, and it certainly wasn't the fault of the brave women and men who went to work every day for NJ Transit. Each year, commuters here in Glen Ridge, up and down the Montclair-Boonton line, and elsewhere across Essex County and our state were saddled with fare hikes, even while service cratered. In the 8 years prior to our getting into office, fares went up 36%. But I don't think anyone could say that customer satisfaction improved by 36%. In fact, it probably went down by a whole lot more. Even without a fare hike, we've instilled a new culture in NJ Transit, one that puts customers first. We're undertaking station improvements up and down NJ Transit's lines, investing in modern, safe, and more comfortable places for customers to be while waiting for their bus or train or when they disembark. And NJ Transit is also undertaking an aggressive infrastructure improvement program, including the work on the new Portal North Bridge, which is a linchpin to the entire Gateway program. In partnership with the legislature, we enacted a series of reforms to NJ Transit's operations to make it more transparent and responsive to its customers. We modernized NJ Transit's governance to create clearer lines of responsibility so no one could ever again just pass the buck to someone else. For the first time, NJ Transit has a comprehensive 10-year strategic and 5-year capital plan to guide it. NJ Transit modernized the way it communicates with its riders, undertaking well overdue improvements to its mobile app and website to provide real-time system-wide updates. And it also modernized maintenance operations so locomotives and cars needing repairs could get out of the shed and back into service faster than ever before. Orders for new locomotives, rail cars, and buses were made to replace outmoded equipment that had more than outlived its useful life. Those new buses are today on our roads. Those locomotives are now arriving and being put into service, and those new rail cars won't be too far behind. And then there was the truly Herculean task that Kevin and his team undertook to beat a federal government deadline for the installation and operation of positive train control technology. Think back just over 4 years. When we took office, we learned NJ Transit's prior leadership had twiddled its thumbs for 9 years, and instead of doing the work turned over an agency that had only completed 12% of that positive control technology mission. Heavy fines for noncompliance, and even the prospect of losing rail access to New York Penn Station loomed. No one, and I do mean literally no one, thought NJ Transit could climb out of the hole that had been dug, but despite heavy odds, it did. And when our administration took office, we inherited an agency that had allowed the ranks of trained and certified rail engineers to dwindle. When one engineer called out, the lack of anyone to step into that locomotive cab created a domino effect of cancellations and delays. Fast forward to today, in 4 years, we've already graduated 127 new engineers, bringing the ranks above the numbers needed to backstop the system to keep it running on time. And we're still not done as more prospective engineers continue their training. The result of all this work, as I said, is an NJ Transit system that today is getting the overwhelming majority of its customers where they need to be, when they need to be there, and safely. And all of this was accomplished while holding fares at the same amount they were when our administration came in. And we maintain our belief that commuters shouldn't pay a penny more until the job of turning NJ Transit fully around is done. We are not here to declare victory or to spike any footballs by any means. We know we all still have work to do to win back the trust of every NJ Transit rider, and that work will continue throughout 2022. And because this work is continuing, we're not going to saddle any rider with a fare hike. As New Jerseyans continue their return to NJ Transit, whether it be a return to work or school or just a return to life as normal, they will find NJ Transit ready to get them to their destination. Again, holding the line on fares is part of the stronger, fairer, and more affordable New Jersey we're all building today. It's just that simple. Thank you all for the great welcome here in Glen Ridge and, as always, Joe, in Essex County. And it is now my pleasure to turn things over to my partner in government, the rockin', one and only, singular Lieutenant Governor Sheila Y. Oliver.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Governor. I love coming in this train station because it speaks so much to the history. Look at the stained glass. And Kevin, several years back, the commuters of Glen Ridge really petitioned that this station be restored to its former glory. So I want to thank New Jersey Transit for creating and making this jewel continue to be here. For many years, I represented Glen Ridge in the legislature, and commuting was essential to the people in this community. And as Robert said, that's what drew many residents to come stay here. And people in the contiguous communities take advantage of having this service here. If you come by here at the end of the day, you see people picking up folks and you see them dropping off, and it is a very, very busy station on the Boonton-Morristown line. I recall when the governor and I first took office, and there were a barrage of issues related to New Jersey Transit. I recall Governor Murphy saying that if there was one thing he needed to accomplish, it was to make certain that he could get the trains to run on time. And you heard his stats this morning. People were, they were upset that their needs weren't being met by the previous administration that didn't listen to the cries of the commuters of New Jersey Transit. But that tenure has changed with this administration. We are fulfilling our promise of making New Jersey Transit a better system and our user experience without putting the cost on riders. For 5 years, no fare hike. Trust me, that is quite an accomplishment. And Governor Murphy and Kevin, you're to be congratulated with your board in making certain that there are no fare hikes. As we climb ourselves out of a COVID environment, people's finances have changed, The things that they do with their families have changed. And being a commuter and knowing that your costs will be stable means a lot. We are, addressing the upgrades that the governor made reference to, the maintenance issues. That is what we in government refer to as fiscal responsibility. We may have inherited a broken system in NJ Transit, but that is no excuse for continuing a historical pattern. You're going to like to see the things that New Jersey Transit will be doing with the Murphy administration. Keep your eye on the Newark Penn Station, where there will be a massive overhaul and recreation. We want to compete with Union Station, Kevin, in Washington, D.C. This is just the beginning. And with the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act that was passed at the federal level, we are so pleased that President Biden knows the importance of upgrading and maintaining and expanding the use of rail in our country, and most notably in the state of New Jersey. So thanks, Gov, for your leadership in doing this. And let's also remember that your other claim to fame is that Tom Cruise went to high school here.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Sheila. You were the best. It does help to have a train guy as president, doesn't it? We've never had a president who understands trains more than President Joe Biden. So, Sheila, thank you for those kind words and for everything you do. You could not have a better partner in government. Now, next up to bat, right beside Sheila, please help me welcome the President and CEO of NJ Transit and another outstanding leader, Kevin Corbett.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for your kind words. And of course, want to thank Governor Murphy and the entire administration for the extraordinary leadership and support you continue to deliver to New Jersey Transit and to our customers. I can honestly say I can't think of another transit agency head who has received more continuous support for their agency than I have, and that just speaks volumes and is very much appreciated. And I am very pleased that we're able to continue to build on the progress of the last 4 years without a fare increase for our customers in fiscal year 2023. And Robert, thanks for your kind words and also pointing out the environmental benefits of riding as well. But as the governor said, that's 5 straight years without an increase under his administration. And while delivering these improvements, including the safety, service, reliability, overall customer experience, and continue to operate full service amid the pandemic. Let me just give a quick rundown on our top-level accomplishments that have had and will continue to have a positive impact on our customers. On-time performance has improved across the board on rail, bus, and light rail from fiscal year 19 to 21, and trains cancellations are down 15% over that same period. So it's not just January, Governor, it's been the last few years, it's been steady improvements. A significant reason for these improvements is the fact, though, as you pointed out, we have achieved a full roster of locomotive engineers for the first time in more than a decade, improving that on-time performance and reliability that is so important to people like Robert. We took delivery of more than 300 new buses between 2020 and 2021 and ordered our first 8 electric buses, which will be in revenue service by the end of this year. We have purchased 138 new multi-level rail cars, the ones that everyone loves with the 2x2 seating, and 25 new dual-mode locomotives, which have already begun arriving, all of which will continue to improve in the virtuous cycle of on-time performance, reliability, and customer comfort for the overall experience. And as the governor touched on, through our first ever 5-year capital plan, currently there are more than $4 billion in capital projects currently underway and advancing through procurement. Obviously, one of the most significant one is our Portal North Bridge replacement project, which is a critical part of the Gateway program and was essentially dead in the water when Governor Murphy stepped in 2018, provide that critical local match necessary when there was a void and the local match was not considered, the CMAQ wasn't considered a eligible local expense, the loan. And that commitment of the additional $300 million allowed us to go ahead and proceed and get the application so we could finally get a full funding grant agreement from the Federal Transit Administration. And now that construction on that project is scheduled to begin this spring, which is pointing out that this is the single largest construction award in NJ Transit's history at $1.6 billion. But aside from that mega project, we're also busy advancing other projects. The $600 million Raritan River Bridge, currently under construction, the $536 million Northern Bus Garage, critical for our service in and out of New York, and nearly $500 million of improvement projects currently underway in Hoboken, including the $195 million long slip project on the south end of Hoboken Terminal. We have $190 million and $250 million respective investments in rehab and modernization of Newark Penn Station, as well as the Walter Rand Transportation Center. And that is all in addition to major capital improvements in the Trenton Transit Center, Lyndhurst Station, Elizabeth Station, Perth Amboy Station, and many others that many of our commuters are seeing under construction every day now as they're going back to work and back to play and riding the system. As you well know, Governor, these billions of dollars in investments, beside from providing critical transportation infrastructure, are also powerful job creators, and the economic multiplier effect will continue to come back to the state many times over. And also, as the governor is very keen to point out, and it was always reminding me in the early days, the importance of the technology and the upgrades we've done to our apps. And I think we've heard a lot of praise and a lot of favorable ratings on what we've done with our mobile app and our online access, but particularly on the app where you see new features such as How Full Is My Ride, the NJT Rewards program, which is very increasingly popular with our customers. Also, the FlexPass ticket option introduced last February. I don't know if you use that, Robert, but the FlexPass is our 20-trip ticket discounted 20% off the regular one-way fares and valid for 30 days from the date of purchase. So it offers that flexibility that customers returning to the office 2 or 3 days per week really request, and we've seen a really popular support for that. And as spring approaches, it's the perfect time to take advantage of NJ Transit's new Transit to Trails program, available on our website at njtransit.com/trails. The online application gives everyone the ability to access over 60 parks in all 21 New Jersey counties via our bus, light rail, or Access Links services. All of these improvements and many more are highlighted on the NJ Transit website at njtransit.com/progress, and I encourage all of you to visit the site when you have a chance. There you'll find all the ways of improved service, reliability, and the customer experience as riders are returning to the system and as tourism and leisure travel begins to pick up as we emerge from the pandemic. So if you haven't been riding your New Jersey Transit, this is a perfect time to come back to our system, because while you've been away, we've been working hard for you. I'll wrap up today with my favorite new quote, Governor, and it's actually from your State of the State this year. You said, and I quote, 4 years ago, NJ Transit was a national model of how not to run a mass transit system. Today, it stands as a model of how to turn around a mass transit system. Thank you. But everyone at NJ Transit knows there's still much more to be done. And to be clear, we're not letting up at all until we're consistently delivering the world-class service that our customers deserve. But Governor, we certainly appreciate that vote of confidence, and we'll continue under your leadership to work hard, and we greatly appreciate the support and commitment. So once again, thanks everything you've done for New Jersey Transit and for our customers.
Thank you, Stuart. Well done, buddy. Kevin, thank you for your leadership. You referenced, as did I, the Portal North Bridge and the Gateway program. One reality that I wish we could wave a magic wand at, and we can't, is there's still only 2 tunnels under the Hudson River. And they were built in 1910. And they have suffered severe damage over those interceding 112 years, including and especially during Superstorm Sandy. The ARC Tunnel project, which was far from perfect, would have been completed 4 or 5 years ago, and we would have had new tunnels under the Hudson, but that is not the case, unfortunately. We are working morning, noon, and night to get the Gateway program. If you're not familiar with that, that's building 2 more tunnels under the Hudson and then rehabbing the 2 that were built in 1910. That will make a world of difference. But as Kevin knows better than anybody, a piece of Amtrak equipment that gets caught in the tunnel or breaks down, which we have nothing to do with, can jam our commuters up, and folks rightfully still pull their hair out about that, as do I. And so we will not relent until we have 4 tunnels under the Hudson River functioning as they should be in a 21st century manner. And again, we could not have a better president who's been supporting us at every minute since he's gotten into office. No matter how good you think you might be at the state level, no matter how good NJ Transit gets, you're only as good as the leadership of your local and county government partners. And Brendan is here as a commissioner. There is, and he'll agree with me, I'm sure, there is no county that runs like Essex County. And it begins with this guy. Please help me welcome the extraordinary county executive of Essex County, Joe DiVincenzo.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor Murphy, Sheila, Oliver, Kevin, congratulations. The last 2 years, and continuing, but not what it was 2 years ago, we all went through the pandemic. And I could tell you, I just want to thank you, Governor, for your leadership. We lost a lot of people in New Jersey. We lost a lot of people here in Essex County. What you've done the last 2 years, yourself, Sheila, and the entire team, was amazing. Essex County residents really appreciate what the governor has done and the help that we needed. He was there first. So thank you very much on behalf of our residents. This is day and night. When you took over, you actually said this was one of your main issues, that you were going to improve the New Jersey Transit. And for the last 5 years to have a zero increase and all these major improvements, something's going right. Send more money to Essex County. You got all this money that you're building. But this is a great day, and there's nothing more you can say when you have zero increase and you look at all the improvements and you see the trains are on time. What more are you going to say? But congratulations to you and to Sheila.
Thank you, man. Thanks, buddy. I love that. I want to compliment Joe on a number of things, including wearing blue and yellow today in honor of our blessed Ukrainian brothers and sisters. Thank you, Joe, for your leadership and during the past 2 years, this pandemic, which we've seen some of the darkest days in our state's history. No county and no individual leader led more strongly than Joe, so thank you. We're in an iconic community in this state, in this county, but in this state. And we're here for, not by accident, we're here to celebrate, as Sheila said, this extraordinary station, celebrate no fare increase in a transportation citadel, a jewel in our state. Please help me welcome Mayor Stuart Patrick, representing the Borough of Glen Ridge. Mayor.
Good morning and welcome to Glen Ridge. We're very pleased to have you all here today. I believe this is clearly a fitting occasion for us to take a few moments to reflect back on the historic connection between Glen Ridge and New Jersey Transit. In 1857, James Moffett, a local landowner and nearby mill operator, entered into an arrangement with the rail company for one train to stop in Glen Ridge each day. Years later, local Montclair architect Jesse H. Lockwood designed the building we are in today. Construction was subsequently completed in 1887 by A.G. Darwin, who funded the structure with the stipulation that passenger trains must stop in Glen Ridge. Since that time, many improvements have been made to the station. In the year 2000, the borough entered into a lease agreement with NJT for full use of the building. Since that lease was signed, the borough has invested over $750,000 into preserving, protecting, and renovating this important and marvelous architectural asset. In the mornings, commuters warm themselves here while they wait for the train. During the day, the borough provides numerous programs for seniors, and in the evening, the space is made available for service clubs and other gatherings. Undeniably, mass transportation is an important asset for Glen Ridge and the long-term vitality for all of New Jersey. As we consider the future of rail service, buses, roadway funding and construction, and the proposed Greenway project, we are pleased to welcome Governor Murphy here today to further his commitment to public transportation in Glen Ridge and in all of New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Let's hear from Mayor Stuart Patrick, and I love the history, which is great to hear. We are a proud, organized labor state. We wear that as a badge of honor. Kevin mentioned with all the capital programs that we've got in place, those are also, among other things, not just are they doing the right thing by NJ Transit and improving performance and renovating and renovating old assets and building new ones, but they create an enormous amount of jobs. And then there is the actual functioning of NJ Transit itself, not so much on the capital project side, but keeping the trains and buses running. And I mentioned the men and women of NJ Transit had to put up with neglect from the state, lack of investment from the state, but it wasn't their fault. They came to work every single day trying to do the right thing. Well, fast forward to today, in the past 4 years, in fact, you've got a state partner that is fully invested. I used to say, we will fix NJ Transit if it kills me, and it might. I haven't said that in a while, because I feel like I'm going to be able to skate through and see this thing on its feet while I'm still here. But at every step of the way, the brothers and sisters on the union side in our union community and the employees of NJ Transit have been extraordinary. Please help me welcome an extraordinary leader, Jerome Johnson, who's the president and CEO of Smart TD Local 60. Come on down, Jerome.
Good morning. You know, when you go last, a lot of times everything's been said that you had already written already, so we'll make this brief. Of course, acknowledging the governor, Lieutenant Governor Oliver, Kevin, esteemed guests, thank you for allowing me to be here today. You know, no fare increases is big for the commuters. I've been here 24 years as a conductor and a labor leader, and for us not to increase wages for the commuters is a beautiful thing. I've never seen it before for 5 years. Governor Murphy has invested in New Jersey Transit, not divested in New Jersey Transit, and not only has he invested in the capital projects, but he has invested in us as labor workers, the essential workers, the frontline workers. For him to be able to keep the trains running constantly these last 2 years on a regular schedule to make sure these essential workers get back and forth to work to help out the people during the pandemic is immensely just huge. I've never seen an administration just give their all. Like Governor Murphy just said, he used to say 4 years ago, I'm going to fix New Jersey Transit if it kills me. Then all of a sudden we hit a pandemic. Like, oh, wow, we still can't be dead yet, Governor. Please. We need you. We need you. And we made it through the pandemic. It's huge. But not only did he invest into the residents and the citizens and the commuters of New Jersey, he invested in our members, understanding that we were out there sacrificing, putting our lives on the line, our family lives on the line during the pandemic, and he gave us a fair contract, understanding that we were doing what we needed to do, and it was only right. So I just want to thank you, Governor. Thank you for making sure that Kevin and I stay together as labor leaders and management, working together to get things moving forward in a positive direction. Ray Kenny started a lot of that, God rest his soul, but it seems like that same administration is picking up where he left off, and I appreciate that, and I thank you as well, Kevin. Thank you.
Jerome, cannot thank you enough. And Ray Kenny, by the way, the guy who was overseeing the rail side of the NJ Transit operation, died of COVID, sadly, early on in this awful pandemic that Joe had referred to. So thank you, Jerome. As they say in Hollywood, it's a wrap. So I want to thank Robert for kicking us off. Joe, Jerome, bless you. Sheila, thank you for everything. Kevin, Mayor, to each and every one of you, what a treat to be in Glen Ridge. Commissioner, God bless you all, and thank you all for coming out this morning. Thank you.